All right. All right. Welcome back. Another week of football with the Great American Youth. Two up, one down. We'll get to know what that means soon. People took some dubs, some people took some L's. We'll get into the Podclash and much more. But first, Anthony's got some breaking news to share.
So
Get into it.
last week's episode, I did express some apprehension about Ashton Genty. I wasn't feeling too good about him. I said maybe looking to move him. Shortly after that, I turned that into reality. We moved Genty, Travis Kelsey, and Jakrowski Merritt,
Bill.
Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Bill.
Just call him Bill.
We moved all three of them to Adwin. Picking up, I think really the guy who I was targeting out of this was Roma Dunze. Getting Travis Etienne too. I felt like Etienne for Merritt was like pretty much a 1-for-1. I think Dunze was a later pick, but I think the value that he has is equal to that of Genty. He's playing like a top 10, top 15 receiver. That's like,
He's a big
at best
pickup.
what Genty is going to be. So I think Dunze is the best player out of this. And then giving away Kelsey, I had 3 tight ends on my roster at the time. Kelsey, feel comfortable getting rid of him with this. And Benson was not the number 1 running back in Arizona when I made this trade, but Connor I just obliterated his ankle right
That's
after I
the
made this
best way to
trade.
put it.
And Benson ended up taking his place. So, this trade ends up being even more value with that. And, when I feel really positive about. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think Adunze was definitely a big pickup. I think he'll be a top five receiver, honestly, the rest of the way that Bears offense looks.
How do you do you feel like there is, I guess we're recording this after the Benson injury, so that kind of sways it.
The
But
Connor injury.
what were your thoughts immediately after the trade? How did you feel like this measured up?
Immediately after, I thought it was pretty fair because I thought it was one really good running back and like a like decent potential player with Bill, and then Kelsey. I'm not gonna lie, kind of seems like a throw in, but like some people probably wanted him. I think you didn't give up too much. Like you weren't too high on Genty, but you got a wide receiver 1 with Odunze. You got a really solid RB2 with ETN, and then you got Benson, who is easily an RB2 now with the James Conner injury. But like obviously in hindsight, I was like, it's a good handcuff to have, arguably one of the best handcuffs in the league. So either way, it's a good pickup. I think he was pretty much on the same level as like Bill in that trade. So like I think overall, I would say you won this trade, like not including the Connor injury, and then with the Connor injury, I mean it's hard not to say it's like my trade last week, which included Eckler and well, it didn't include Bill in it, but like it included Eckler and it affected Bill, and now Bill's traded away to Advin's team, so we'll see what happens there. But let's get into the Podclash. You should just talk about it. I mean, you won this one.
It was a solid.
You killed my undefeated start.
Look, I had to do it to you. It was a solid week. I think the trade happened right before this. I was feeling, I think just coming out of week 2 and losing in the way that I did, I was, really hoping to see my team rebound. I think that kind of motivated my move a little bit more heading into this week against you. I didn't want to risk another bad Genty week and go down to 1-2. Like I think we'll get into the standings later, but you start to see the tiers of teams separate, relatively early on, and it's better to be aggressive and put yourself on the other side of 500 as early as possible. So, being able to bring in Dunze, having him and Jackson Smith and Jigba, both get into the end zone was huge for me. ETN getting a touchdown as well. A-Chain, I feel like, again, he's been pretty matchup resistant, regardless. And, even with that offense not being great, like he's putting up solid numbers still, which is all I need out of him. And then the Buccaneers defense, I mean, we can talk about that as well. I mean, that series of blocked kicks, between 3 different games was absolutely crazy.
Unreal.
But benefiting from the Bucs defense, getting 16 points out of them too. So, overall, I felt good about my performance and how my team went. Like this is, what I needed coming out of that trade, what I was looking for. But I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about this week for you? Your team didn't do bad. Like it's not like 100 points is low,
Yeah,
but I just
there's some good players. There's some bad players. I would say after that 1 o'clock window, I was feeling amazing. JT dropping 31.3. I think I was up projected to win by like 70% odds to win, whatever they say on ESPN. And honestly, it's pretty believable because I still had half my team to play, and JT went for 30, and Terry had his best game of the year with 9, even though he got hurt. Like my players played well. And then that 4 o'clock window really killed me. I mean, Dak, another disappointing 12 points. Who else? Troy Franklin, that one killed me so much. I was convinced this guy was the starting wide receiver 1 for the Broncos. Convinced after 2 performances, but I'm officially a fraud for believing that because he shat the bed and he had 2 catches and like 4 drops. So I am dropping him. I've officially dropped him. He's no longer on this roster anymore. But yeah, so that really killed me. And then the night game, it went into Monday night. And at your 4 o'clock window, you had Adunze and JSN go for touchdowns on like the first drive, and I was like, all right, fuck, and it was like out of reach kind of. But I think going into Monday night, I had a chance with Derrick Henry and Jameson Williams, and after the first drive for each team, they had 15 points. At the end of the game, they had 15 points. So, that's how it is sometimes. I thought I had a chance to win, but Derrick Henry needs to figure out this fumbling problem. It's not good. And Jameson Williams, you can't be getting 2 catches a game every single game. This is pretty ridiculous. I thought you were supposed to be the guy this year. Like, wake up, bro. I don't have Terry McLaurin now, so like, someone's got to step up. Not a good week. If I played Pittman or Olave, it would have helped. I'm glad it wouldn't have made me win because then I would have felt bad and stupid.
Yeah, no, those are worse.
I already feel stupid, but like this is a clear you won. I don't need to like fight it in my head. Like I'm gonna think about this for the next few weeks. Nah, you won. I don't need to just forget this week. You got it. It's not a bad week. 2-1 is not bad. We got Lucas this week. Should be free. We'll see. Knock on wood. But let's get into the week results. You want to go through that?
So I obviously getting the win against you. Joel taking down Sebastian. We're starting to, mentioned it earlier, we're starting to see some of these tiers form, some of these free wins that we were talking about earlier. Sebastian, kind of a free win right now. Yusuke, unfortunately, Yusuke did put up solid numbers against Lucas. So, I don't think that you can really fault either one of them for this, but both of them still kind of in free win category. Alex, 100% free win. I don't think it's really even close.
And you can tell by that score. He doubled him up. He doubled him up. That's probably the down bad right there. We don't even need we don't need a slide for that. That's it there.
Nah, 64 is crazy.
His name is Sacco. Like, he owns it. I don't get why.
At least Sebastian put up, 87 isn't like great for Sebastian, but it's like around 90. That's, respectable, I guess. It's not a terrible. Yeah, 64 is terrible.
64 is like drop half your team bad. That's
Jonathan Taylor put up half of that. That's like you
JT himself. Like 2 JTs would have beat him, basically. That's crazy. And then as you can see, Matt Cohen beating up a potential free win, Max, and Ian and Adwin. I thought Adwin was becoming a free win, but Omarion Hampton turned it around with the Najee Harris injury, and AJ Brown had the performance of this season for him. Like after doing like 1 catch in the first 2 games, like went off for 20 points out of nowhere. So that was huge for him, and he upset Ian to give Ian his first loss of the year. How was that watching that with Ian and Adwin?
Yeah, no.
I guess you didn't watch it Monday night, but you were there with them.
Yeah, no. It was. I think both of them. I think while we were watching, it was pretty even. But Adwin was able to. I think just getting the Eagles' offense going, like we saw the AJ Brown touchdowns and stuff.
You were both getting hype about that.
Yeah, it was like that was pretty significant for him. And then Baker putting up a solid performance as well. Like he was having the Bucks offense going. I think overall, though, both of their teams were, pretty, you know, both of their teams are solid. And Ian, especially being undefeated as well. We'll get into the standings, I guess, now, but being undefeated throughout all of the regular season isn't the best thing. I think getting your first loss in is not terrible. There is a little bit of that undefeated curse, or like that first place in the regular season may not always win in the playoffs. So Matt, the only 3-0 team right now, and he is most points too. But yeah, I don't know. Getting and especially as we're starting to see some of these 1-2, 0-3 for Yusuke versus the winning teams, like it's just better to be on the better side of 500 than the other one.
Definitely. It's still though pretty tight right now. I think it will separate. What do you think of the playoff percentages though? That's my question for you.
I mean, I feel like it's
84? Is that too high already? I know he has a good team, but
I mean, we've talked about, if we're saying that there are at least like 2 free wins in the schedule, like 2 or 3 free wins, like he's already halfway to 6 games. And or the 7 games that he's going to need to make the playoffs. So I think that's
easily.
I think at this point with him being undefeated and how his team looks, I think that's pretty reasonable. I do think the win percentages probably reflect the free wins though between Yusuke, Alex, Sebastian down there as well, Lucas. Like I think those are probably the most vulnerable teams. You see, those are ones who scored the least points as well.
Everyone 40% and under, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's still early in the season, and not that much is we've seen a couple of injuries. We saw a lot of quarterbacks injured last week, but not a ton of significant injuries yet. Only 3 trades so far this season, so still a lot. Or 3 trades so far this year, so a lot more stuff that could go down to switch it up. But I think the tiers, I don't know. I feel like the rankings are going to kind of look like this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I get a feeling that it will be relatively similar, maybe between, those 4, like the 4 and, 8 spots, there'll be some changing, or the 5 and 8, or 5 and below.
Yeah.
But like, I think that top 4, 3 is going to be pretty consistent throughout the year.
I agree with you there. I think that top 5 there, the Matt, Ian, you, and me. I think those are clear 5. I think Adwin could potentially sneak into there. I think his point total is close. His team is decent now after he made that trade with you, or better potentially with the Genti if he turns it up. But we'll see. I think Lucas a little fraudulent, but he is putting up the points, so he has more than me. So can't really say that. But Joel too, 288. I mean, come on, man. We called you fraudulent, Joel, all last year. 2-1 with 280. You're scoring less than 100 a week. You can't be doing this, man. That's the most fraudulent. Like we need to start a fraudulent player of the week. Like Joel,
and it's Joel,
man. Joel, it is you right now. Turn it up. Come on, man. But yeah, we got some other breaking news here in the league. Anthony was on a trading spree the last couple weeks, so get into this breaking news.
So Yusuke approached me. He was interested in a number of my players, a few different guys that I had. Ended up settling on trade. Well, really, it started off as a bench trade, but ended up targeting Mike Evans through this. He's going to be injured for 3 to 4 weeks. There isn't an official timeline out that's been put out yet, but he's going to miss the next couple of weeks. Baker has looked great so far this season, and whenever he does come back, I mean, he's going to be the number 1 option in that offense, assuming he's healthy. So I was willing to take the risk and I guess just take the hit on Mike Evans being injured for whatever amount of time. Kareem Hunt is kind of like a throwaway. I don't really care about him. He could end up getting cut at any point in time, really. And then trading away Devonta Smith. The Eagles' offense just hasn't been super pass dependent this year, so I felt comfortable letting him go. Yusuke was looking for receiver depth, so that's someone who he can use and who can get touchdowns and provide him with something. And Yusuke also has the Jaguars backup too. So for him, this just allows him to complete Jacksonville's backfield. ETN is a solid running back, so that does hurt my depth there a little bit. But to pick up Mike Evans potentially healthy later on this year, I think that's that's 100% worth it for me. So I'm willing to take the hit on that and, see how that ends up, hopefully paying off for me in a couple of weeks.
Totally. Another wild trade in the league. How do you feel about your team overall after making the two moves? Like, you feel you're in a better spot, obviously?
Yeah. I mean, I feel I do have some remorse with ETN just in terms of my running back depth. I do think I have A Chain and I have A Chain and Benson now as my starters, but I only have Nick Chubb behind them. So, those are pretty my only guys. Everyone else, I have Ollie Gordon as a backup. I have Woody Marks as a backup now, but it's not a lot of reliable guys behind them, and that does concern me a bit. Receiver depth, in tight end, I don't think I'm going to get much better than I have right now, especially with Jalen Hurts. So as long as running backs stay healthy and Mike Evans comes back at a high level, I think this team is more than capable of making the playoffs for sure. And I don't know if there are really a lot more moves I would need to make, barring any injuries or anything like that. So I'm sitting at the top of the waiver claim right now. If something happens there, I'll be ready to pounce.
You're ready to jump.
It's like other than that, I feel pretty comfortable with where I'm at with my team.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Do you think there will be any trades coming up? Last question from your end.
I do. Well, from my end,
yeah.
From my end, I don't know. Potentially, if I think it depends. If something with waivers happens, I'm 100% leveraging that. Like I will say that, like I will trade my waiver claim openly if someone of value ends up being on there. But outside of that, I don't know. We'll see. I have depth. I have options. Cortland Sutton is on my bench still. I have Nick Chubb. He's been a solid option. So I have pieces that I could move, but I do feel really solid about where I'm at right now.
Good to hear. But yeah, let's get into our newest slide, drops and ads. I will put a caveat on here. I did make a switch after we made these slides and also dropped somebody and picked somebody up, but I'll mention that as we get into it. Do you want to go first here?
Yeah.
So talk about it.
Yeah, my drops. Bucks defense, they did me well last week, of course, but I'm a defense streamer. They're not going to do the same thing this week. So picking up the Chargers, I believe, against the Giants. So they're going to make Jackson Dart's life hell for his first start. I don't know what
I like that pickup a lot. I was like,
I don't know what the Giants are doing there really. And I will continue to stream defenses for as long as it serves me. And then Hunter Renfrow, I like a lot. I was hoping that he would be more of like I think Hunter Renfrow is really good. So I was hoping that maybe he could be a reliable option for Bryce Young, but the Panthers aren't that good either. So I think it's worth dropping him. And Alex dropped Woody Marks for some reason. So that gives me Houston's backfield for free. Like I was more than willing to take that for over, a punt on Renfrow. So yeah, how do you feel about your drops and ads?
Yeah, so as you can see, defense. The other one I'll mention, Troy Franklin, which I mentioned earlier on the podcast. He pissed me off this week. I didn't want to cut him, but I just saw the opportunity to add Marcus Mariota as a starter for this week, and I thought that was definitely worth it. And I also picked up Alik Iomanor. I hope I pronounced that right. But I don't know. I just thought get a new receiver in the door. He scored a touchdown the last couple of weeks. He looks to be the main receiver potentially behind Ridley in Tennessee. So I'm excited about that. And I got a QB to start this week with Mariota, which this is obviously after the breaking news of Jaden Daniels being out. I'm happy with these ads. I don't think Jaguars I picked them up just because the Broncos were playing the Chargers. I didn't trust them. But I think that's really it for the drops and ads.
So getting into matchups for this week, going up against Sebastian. Recording this on Friday, so two guys have already played. Trey Benson and Jackson Smith-Njigba went last night. It was rough for most of the game, honestly. I was pretty stressed out, but JSN ended up picking up like 70, 80 yards, or most of his yards for the game in the fourth quarter, which was huge.
Not 80, almost 80.
Yeah, I mean, almost 80, but a few really big catches in the fourth that helped win the game for Seattle and, got me some points as well. And then Benson, he didn't find the end zone. I think just the Cardinals were down for most of the game, so not the game script he needed, but otherwise he did all right. And, generally I feel pretty solid about my team headed into this matchup. Even though those guys didn't do great, I don't think Higgins is that much of a threat. I don't know if Neighbors is going to do great. It's just a lot of iffy guys on Sebastian's side. And I feel a lot more confident with the consistency of mine. So
I would 100% pick your team if we were picking teams here. But yeah, you should win this game. And then yeah, with my matchup, the only switch here is Marcus Mariota instead of Daniel Jones. I didn't want to be too Colts dependent with 4 total players in the lineup, so I went down to 3 with the kicker Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. Really just doing this because Terry McLaurin's out. Didn't want to start Cup, obviously. Just needed somebody else to start at flex. So I'm going with Pittman this week and Olave at receiver 2 to sub in for Terry McLaurin with Jameson Williams. I feel better about the team this week. I think Derrick Henry has a good matchup. He needs to turn it around. JT's looked like the man. Really need the Commanders offense to continue to be the Commanders offense that they looked like last week. So that'll be big for me. And Broncos defense Monday night, I think that'll be big against Cincinnati. Hopefully they'll come in clutch and get me a Monday night win. But Lucas's team had some scary players. Like I think Garrett Wilson can put up numbers. I think Breece Hall can put up numbers. Barkley, of course, Justin Herbert. But I don't know. It's going to be close. Projections say it's going to be within a point. So let's hope I don't have another matchup within a point about. But I hope I can pull this one out. I feel good about my team though. So
yeah, I was gonna say, how do you feel about your roster right now? Are there any moves that you're looking to make? Are there areas of your team that you'd like to improve, or anyone who you're feeling iffy about, or where are you at overall?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get a better wide receiver, like a more consistent wide receiver in the door. Like I would trade a lot of my team, pretty much anyone besides my 2 running backs, for a better receiver. So that's something I'm definitely looking for. And then I don't know, maybe a more consistent flex too, but that's kind of along the same lines. I think I'd kind of kind of get rid of more of my depth, and maybe that happens with Godwin too. But we'll kind of see what happens over these next few weeks. And if my team keeps playing well, I'll keep it how it is. But if it's not looking good, I'm gonna make a trade. That's how I feel. Commanders, they look good without Jaden. What were your thoughts on the win?
I mean, definitely disappoint. I think probably the biggest disappointment of this game was seeing McLaurin going out injured. And obviously, that
personally, yeah.
But other than that, like great performance. McCaffrey getting into the end zone, Bill getting a touchdown as well. Like just overall a really good, good to see different guys getting involved with Mariota. I think Cliff Kingsbury said in one of his press conferences, they feel like they have 2 starting quarterbacks. And I do think Mariota is one of the better backups in the league. Like he's shown that pretty consistently, and he's been able to fill in when needed. So he's also going to be starting this week. So, and like you said, you have him in your lineup now. So I think he's a solid option for us. Proved that against the Raiders. And yeah, I mean, the Raiders just don't look that great either, really. So it was a good rebound win from the Packers loss. How do you feel about it?
Definitely. No, totally. I couldn't agree more. I think the whole offense kind of woke up with Marcus Mariota at QB, which was great to see. I mean, that Mick Nichols run was crazy. Like he shouldn't have taken that to the house, but that was just unreal. But even the defense looked good. I think we pretty much shut them out most of the game. Then Trey Tucker had like 3 touchdowns in garbage time, something like that. But he's now like wide receiver 3 in fantasy because of playing us. But I mean, we shut down Genty. I don't know if that's a good thing because it looks like every team can right now. But I mean, our run defense compared to last year looks a lot better, so I'm happy about that too. But I feel better about this year. I mean, people were kind of counting us out earlier on, but I think these couple wins, like dominant wins against the Giants and Raiders here, should kind of show people we're legit. We're back.
All right, well, that's all we got for you this week. We are hopeful. We're, both 2 up, 1 down, hoping we'll both get to 3-1 next week and get one step closer to the playoffs. And we will talk to you guys again soon with more changes, more changes and updates to the league. So yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you.
Yeah.
I saw that thing, the pop up like time left. I was like, oh,
Yeah, I know, bro.
gotta speed this shit up.
Yes.